recently my rent just went up, I'm in a few percentage up, and it's, it is struggling.
It's pretty expensive for, what you get.
I definitely think that rent is very high.
And they're not alone. 3 in 4 Aussies are in favour of rental caps and freezes, according to today's Guardian Essential poll.
I think that would be great for renters. I just don't know if that would have unforeseen consequences.
The pay is not increasing, but everything else is going up, including rent, and that is just real hard.
44% support annual rental increases, but only if they're pegged to inflation. And 34% say rent should be fixed until economic conditions improve. And while that may sound like a great idea, some say it could make matters worse.
Rents are expensive and rising because housing is scarce. So if we cap those rents, then people who can economise the amount of housing they need won't do so. And that means those that can't find a home are left out in the cold.
People struggling financially were more likely to support a freeze, while people feeling secure tended to favour price hikes linked to inflation. And overall, half of all renters were for a total rent freeze. Housing has been the source of all-out war between the government and the Greens.
Unlimited rent increases should be illegal. It is up now to the Prime Minister to show leadership at the National Cabinet to make unlimited rent increases illegal.
The idea that you just have a rent freeze, no one is arguing that that will make a positive difference.
Despite the PM conceding some ground on housing investment, the Greens are holding their Housing Future Fund to ransom, demanding more protection for Aussie renters.
The bottom line is unlimited rent increases once a year are still unlimited rent increases. For most renters, this means nothing.
The fact is that if you support public housing, you should vote for the Housing Australia Future Fund.
So as the housing crisis deepens and Canberra remains in deadlock, is there any hope on the horizon for cash-strapped renters?
Labor have definitely been slow to recognise the scope and scale of the rental crisis. But the Greens are running an emotional campaign with policies that sound like they'll help but ultimately will make the problem worse.
And Amy Remeikis from The Guardian is here to break it all down for us. Amy, could strong public sentiment like this actually influence Labor?
Absolutely, because nothing moves politicians like voters' moods. And if the voters are moving in a particular direction, suddenly you start seeing politicians talking about it. I mean, rentals aren't even a federal issue, and yet the Prime Minister has dedicated quite a lot of time to it over recent months. So it is already having an impact, and it will probably continue to do so.
The Greens are really tapping into something here, aren't they? And they've almost become a de facto opposition. Is that actually translating into increased support?
Well, there's about 8 million or so renters, and quite a lot of them are very annoyed at the rental situation at the moment. So it has become a hotbed issue. And the Greens are using it for political purposes. There have been door-knocking campaigns, there have been rallies, there have been direct appeals to people to get involved with politics and the Greens and to start, moving Canberra around, giving it a bit of a shake. We haven't so much seen it in the opinion polls as yet, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not there. It tends to be a lot of younger people who don't usually answer polls because it's from an unknown number, and who picks that up?
Well, I am a renter, so I obviously support the rent freeze. In fact, I think I've never heard a better idea. I think we should do it immediately. But has there been any support from economists?
There has been for short-term rental freezes, and not in terms of we think you should do this, but in terms of the very economist way of looking at things, which is, well, yes, you could put it in and have a short-term benefit, but it's not a policy that you would want to see long-term. And that's because it could potentially stop people from being able to easily move homes. It could also see people putting up rents in a huge amount at one-off go just to try and get ahead of any sort of rent freeze. The Greens are saying that they don't want the rent freeze forever, but it's something that is needed right now because of how crap the rental market is.
A rental inquiry is starting tomorrow in the Senate. Will that be essential viewing?
I think quite a lot of us live it, including myself and quite a lot of your viewers. So we'll be able to sympathise with what they're hearing at this rental inquiry, but it is going to keep it at the top of the political agenda. We're going to hear some pretty awful stories about how people have been treated by landlords, what their rental properties are like, and how difficult this rental market has made life. So watch this space. This won't be the last time we're talking about it.
OK, Amy, thanks for your time.
Thank you.